Welcome to the wild and wacky world of unfettered defiance. His posts are becoming stuff of legend. Well, just when we thought things were dying down, Amy happens. Again. Now, on to the story. So, I may be in trouble. So, I think I broke a guy's jaw the other day. I haven't had the police at my house for it, but I'm expecting it. I'm pretty sure I'm not guilty of assault, since he hit me first and we can prove it. Cissie has cameras on the doorbell and on the side of her house, but I did kick him while he was down, so we'll see. So yeah, Cissie has been seeing some dude off and on. And I never met the guy. But, not really my business. But, apparently he's just a duck buddy or something. Anyway, the other day Jason showed up at my door. Jason rarely comes by my house since he has his own friends he hangs with and is in that stage where he doesn't want to hang out with Falcon and Andy anymore, who are about 4 years younger. But the kids are at Cissie's that day. He's red-faced, angry, and crying and has a bloody nose and a big-ass handprint on his face. My wife gets him first and she brings him to me in my office. She's ducking hysterical. She says Cissie and this guy are fighting and Jason tried to step between it and the guy slapped him. My nephew Andy is over there, so that's an immediate nope for me. So I get up and go over there with my wife in tow and I'm just gonna get Andy and go. I MMA check on Cissie, but I don't like to get involved in domestic disputes. In college I stood up for a girl who was getting ragdolled by her BF, and when I had him pinned, she attacked me. I know there's this whole part of me that wants to do right, but that and also some advice I got from a character in a book I like, I try not to get involved in those kinds of disputes, especially uninvited. So I go and I can hear them yelling in the backyard. She apparently won't let him in the house and is screaming for him to give her purse and leave. I walk up and I say, "Excuse me, I'm here to pick up Andy." And Cissie gives me a look like a drowning person and I look at the man and ask if there's any trouble. He tells me there's no trouble, and to mind my business. I tell him my nephew's here, it kind of is my business if y'all aren't making this a safe environment for him. Trying to stay neutral. He tells me it's a private matter and that Cissie will get the kids so he can go. She demands her purse again, which he finally gives her. I found out later she told Andy and Falcon not to unlock the doors. When she opens them, little Beth immediately runs outside and throws something at the guy. He tells Cissie to control her kids. I ask what's going on again, now because that's sod. He tells me to mind my business and take my kid. Andy and Falcon come out, see me immediately run up to me and start telling me shit. I do not like what I hear. I hear indeed not only did he slap Jason, but he pushed Andy and Falcon who were also there. New info. Info that changes this from not my issue, to, very much my ducking issue. I told him I MMA needed him to leave. He says something but I wasn't listening and I repeated very calmly that I just heard you pushed my nephew, your best bet is to leave right the duck now. You and Cissie can have a talk later when you want to act like an adult. Cissie says they won't be talking later, that she's asked him to leave and not come back. Apparently Cissie broke up with him, reasons are irrelevant, but I found out later it was because he'd been telling folks he was banging a widow and basically disparaging her and her kids as needy in a circle of friends. He said some other shit, but I wasn't really paying attention to that. The guy says something to me and then says something to Amy, who gets really animated and tell him he needs to leave. He gives her a "no one's talking to you, bitch." Which, I take offense to. I tell her to go inside with Cissie, and take the kids. I tell him, he needs to leave, now. She of course stays out yelling and cursing at him and Cissie has to help take her in the house. He says he ain't going nowhere. I tell Cissie to call the cops and he calls me a pussy. I say, meow, and point to the street. He doesn't move until Cissie starts taking out her phone and he calls her a few choice names and tells her never to call him again. He walks past me and does the ducking bitch shove with his shoulder, but I just look at him and ask, was that it? Feel like a big man? He gets in my face and Amy is like cussing him out, and I'm trying to calm her down, cause she is coming back. That's when this asshole sucker punches me. Right in the side of my head. I stumble into the fence and I see stars. The guy isn't bigger than me, but he is reasonably built. It hurt like hell and surprised the duck out of me. I hear Amy scream something and Cissie says something. But I'm just hearing a bit of a hollow ringing. He says some shit. I can't hear him. I'm just ducking stunned for a moment. Then I get mad. Very, very mad. I'd like to say I squared up and we fought like men and I came out ahead. I really wish that was what happened. But, nope, that's not what happened. I ducking just tackled him and we both fell back into the window and broke it. I cut my arm and ducked up my shirt. He tried grabbing me, but just dropped low and pulled his feet out from under him, but he didn't fall. The guy steps back and kicks at my dick, like a bitch. And I'm like mad but I can't formulate words. So I just ducking swing hard and I miss him and I hit the house, scraping my knuckles. He caught me one good time like, on the shoulder, but I kinda just shrugged that off and ducking rushed in on him. I wish I could have said I remember any of the things I've been taught in combat and fighting. I took martial arts and did some boxing in my time, but I wasn't thinking about shit. I just headbutted him hard as duck, and when he stumbled back I punched him in his shit hard as I could. He stumbled back and I tackled him again. This time successfully. So yeah, while he was on the ground I just sat on his chest and was punching him. I can't say any hit landed, nothing clean, had his hands up, ducker bit me in my inner thigh after he bucked his ducking legs and I fell forward. And I wish I could remember any MMA move or something, but at the time I could not. And I got up quick and I just kicked, not even deliberate or cool. I slipped and bust my shit, tore open all the back of my elbow on the concrete on the walkway leading to the back of the house. I didn't even hear a snap, but it was Amy who basically told me to stop cause the dude had his hand up and was saying something. I couldn't tell, but he was like his jaw. And it didn't look busted to me. I've seen a dislocated jaw in football practice, but when he got up I got a better look and it was a bit off I guess. Cissie said she had him on camera assaulting me and that if he didn't leave we were going to press charges. He called her a stupid bitch, and left to his car. Cissie and Amy took me in the house and bandaged me up, with Amy telling me it looked like I was getting my ass kicked at first. I told her I was fine, I just was very angry. Unfocused I guess, but she was happy. Cissie apologized and all that. I got the full story then, as she had broken up with him and he came over. She wouldn't let him in at first, cause the kids were there and she didn't let miscellaneous folks around her kids. Jason said he only saw him like 2 or 3 times before that. There was talk about endangering Andy, but I didn't really wanna blame Cissie. I wanted to talk to Amy about instigating, cause I feel like if she wasn't all hostile I wouldn't have caught that first cheap shot, but whatever. Technically I should have blazed him when he called her a bitch, but I was trying to defuse the situation. I'm cool, I got a couple of stitches, one on my head and one my arm. Just a bandage for the elbow thing. The worst wounds were self-inflicted with the window. Found a sliver of glass in my arm. I felt stupid. Not just because he sucker punched me, but because I lost it badly in front of everyone. Luckily the kids mostly didn't see shit, except Jason. There's more. A lot of talking and shit. But I don't know what really to say. I feel ducking stupid even days later and I hope this asshole don't try to sue me or something. That's all I'm really worried about. Legal trouble. Clarissa is cool about the whole thing, and the hens have circled around Cissie. All of them have been over her house every day since. Clarissa isn't too upset about Andy possibly being in danger, but was on me for seemingly about to let dude slide for disrespecting her sister. I may be real with you women out there, we do want to go ham as shit over that. We do. But, folks are getting stabbed and shot, and you don't know who knows what. Sometimes we ain't just gonna fly into a blind rage over that. With that said, I do feel like some kind of asshole cause I didn't just break his ass in half knowing he hit Cissie and her child, and pushed Andy. Don't call me no bitch or nothing, but I mean, it ain't TV. Folks can get really hurt or die and I love Cissie, I do. She's a wonderful person. But that ain't my woman, my sister, that's a friend, a good one, but I can still imagine her being mad at me for beating this guy's ass. I've known too many women who were in those kinds of situations and there's no use whooping this guy's ass for her to be ducking me a week later. I went through that with London, Remy, and Danny when we were younger. This shit is not as cut and dry as folks keep making it out to be. That last sentence you wrote is absolutely true, but in my opinion there's a greater truth here. In today's society, we don't have enough people who stand up for each other. Not only for themselves but for others, be it neighbors, friends or family. Standing up for another person, be it by using words or a fist if nothing else goes, is never wrong. In addition, that dude had punched a kid. Please tell me that Cissie went to the police to report him. He is a threat to everyone if he is punching kids, and he is a coward. I applaud you for what you did. It didn't work out like in the movies and you got ducked up too, but you stood up for someone else. That is what matters. I be real with you women out there, we do want to go ham as shit over that. We do. But, folks are getting stabbed and shot, and you don't know who knows what. Sometimes we ain't just gonna fly into a blind rage over that. This right here. Yes, you absolutely want to defend your wife and family, and if anyone says boo you want to square up on them. But life doesn't work well if you live it that way. You can say they need to watch their damn mouth, but if you had hit him because he called your wife a name, then you would be the aggressor. Words aren't the same as hitting someone. You did the smart thing, and as long as they have you on video getting hit first, I'm pretty sure you are good. Plus all the witnesses are on your side. As you said, if you go around smacking every guy that says something to your woman you don't like, or verbally threatens someone you love, then you are going to find yourself in a lot of fights. And eventually there will be that one guy that has a .38 tucked in the back of his pants or a knife that he is more than happy to use. Then you and your wife are in danger, as are any bystanders. I've had a concealed carry permit for about 6 years now. At first I got it because I occasionally worked late downtown in a large city. So it might be 11 p.m. and I'm walking to my car and there is literally no one but me and the occasional crazy person wandering around downtown. I renewed it after 4 years, and even though I've got a compact Glock and a nice inside the pants holster, I hardly ever carry anymore. Only if I have to go out at 2 a.m. to a sketchy area would I even think about bringing a firearm. Even then I would probably leave it in the car. There are just too many guns in America and too many people willing to use them for no reason at all. Yes, I own a few guns, but they spend 95% of their time in my house. You just never know what situation you might find yourself in. Maybe it's 3-on-1 and you feel the need to show that you are carrying, so they back off. Except one of those three has his own gun and doesn't hesitate a bit and someone gets hurt or killed. It's not worth it, except under the most dire circumstances. I'm glad you and yours are alright and that no one was seriously hurt. Well, the douche got caught on camera throwing hands first. I think you have the advantage. If that dummy tries to sue, I would throw hands as well. If someone tries to berate my woman, good on you up. Online Journal Day 213, Girls' Night Out. So the last few days Amy has been really quiet, really attentive, and actually doing things around the house without being told. More than being pretty good, she's been putting in far more effort than even when I first got back from up north. Call me untrusting, but I find it very, very odd. People only start trying so hard to do everything right after they ducked up, and so I got a little worried. So worried, I was kind of afraid to check in with Doug and the stuff I have on her messages and all that. Instead I spoke to her first. She sat me down and told me that everything is fine and she's just trying to do her part. She said she knows she's been a bit of a brat, but she doesn't mean to seem like she doesn't appreciate me. She says she loves me and she's not sure how she needs to show it other than doing the things I've asked her to do. She admitted she doesn't know how to make up for what she did, and she's just been trying to be open and honest with me. She's wanted to not bottle up things inside, and she said that I always say that it doesn't matter whether or not she's right about something that bothers her, that I should tell her anyway, cause she's going to act on her feelings, rather than if something is the way she sees it or not. And I agreed. She says she's just working on her communication, and that she's sorry it's all coming off about complaining. She says she's trying to deal with her insecurities and she'll talk to me about it when she has it all sorted. I asked if it had to do with my list I gave her and she said yes. She said it made her feel ashamed, because her therapist had taken her list and asked her to explain why she hadn't left me for each one. Asked her what have I done to improve on each one. She said she realized that she's not really done anything to change the situation, and a lot of things about how she feels are out of my control. She said she felt really bad when just asked a lot of basic questions about her list. So she wanted to work on it, cause she didn't want to lose me if she could help it. She also apologized for the thing with her little hypothetical. She admits she asked specifically because of something Cissie said. I eventually found that out too. I was not convinced. I'm sorry, but my trust is normally low. But I didn't let on I had any misgivings. I just thanked her for her effort and went about my day. Most of what's really going on I learned from talking to Cissie and Raquel, after finding some interesting back and forths between Amy and her friends. Last week Amy went out with her girls, Faye, Mimi, Clarissa, Joan, and Raquel. Cissie has been hanging with them a lot more since her husband died, but before she was not really part of that circle. Apparently while they were out, Amy was talking to the group about her therapy. Apparently challenging her list was an understatement. The therapist had asked some questions that made Amy feel really bad and guilty. Basically asking Amy why she wanted to stay in a relationship with someone who made her feel so insecure and all that. When she was talking to her friends about it, Faye and Joan immediately went on their "we don't like him" trip. But Mimi and Cissie apparently defended me. And there was a real argument about how I treat Amy and my relationship, before Raquel finally delivered the blow that ended the night. Raquel told Amy that she hardly ever says a good thing about me to Faye or Joan, who are some of her oldest friends, almost as old as Mimi. She accused her of calling them up every time she wanted to complain, and that's all they ever hear. It's all she ever heard before she actually started to be around me. Raquel and I didn't get along cause she called herself confronting me about the way I treated Amy like a child, but Mimi was there and set her straight. Mimi lived with Amy during college. She knows all about Amy's frustrating ass foibles. Once told me she was glad we were together because she loved Amy, but wouldn't want to live with her again. Anyway, there was a big argument about me because Faye and Joan were like telling Mimi this and that, and I treat her like a child, and this and that. And Faye got mad because Mimi told her she gets treated like a child cause she acts like a child. And there's a big thing. There aren't a lot of details on what was said, just a flurry of texts after and conversation with them in Discord, which was like watching two factions fight. The thing with Cissie was that Faye told her that she didn't know what it was like in Amy's relationship, she only gets to see what people want her to see, and Cissie countered by saying that Faye only sees what Amy wants her to see or tells her. And then asked if she thought Amy was in an abusive relationship, that if I treated her so badly, or did this and that, why don't they just break up? This ended up with Faye and Joan really pushing that apparently. And Amy apparently trying to defend me. Later in the Discord, Mimi basically told Amy Faye and Joan will never like me because all she ever does is talk shit about me to them. And that she used to call her up and do that. Raquel said the same thing. And the conversation almost brought up Amy's infidelity, which Joan, Raquel, Faye, and Cissie don't know about. This is when I read that Cissie had told Amy that she should be lucky to have a man who works hard, cares for her, and is there for her. That most women would kill for a guy like that. which made Amy accuse her of having intentions for me, and Cissie told her that she's not the kind of woman that would sleep with another woman's man. Which, Amy felt some kind of way about it, and asked her what she would do if she woke up and I wasn't there anymore. Gone, never to be back. And then the conversation turned about how Cissie is dealing with the loss of her husband. Again, not all too clear, a lot of inferences. The Discord conversation jumped around and was incredibly incoherent. I only know anything about they conveyed the outing cause Mimi, Clarissa, and Amy were talking about it. Eventually Clarissa asked Amy to shit or get off the pot. And Mimi told her that if she isn't happy she needs to leave me. Amy argued with them that she is happy and she doesn't want to leave, but Clarissa pointed out she never sounds happy. She never talks about good things and that she seems she's been doing everything not to be the one to break up with me. Like she's afraid of being accused of giving up on a good thing, so she wants to make me break up with her. Lots of arguing. Lots of words. And finally Amy saying that she's happy. After this I have no idea what was said, cause apparently they switched to voice. I'm not sure what to do with this information. This happened after the stupid hypothetical question, but before some other stuff. So I'm confused. Today I got a list of things I actually do right in the relationship, which she did because I decided instead of writing a list of things she does wrong in the relationship, I wrote a list of why I'm with her or why I deal with this. Cause I felt it was more important. Which is why she said she felt ashamed. But I'll get into that later. To be honest, I've never really asked that question, but I probably should have. Cause I never sat down and said, okay, if I make you feel bad all the time, why are you with me? Like seriously. It's been hinted at, but I ain't never came at Amy like her friends did. Now I have this information, I got to pretend I don't have it. How do I act without letting the woman know I can still spy on her and her AP, which yes, though I'm not mad at Mimi, I'm gonna continue to refer to her as the affair partner. Hey, Unfettered. I just can't seem to write a short comment to your posts. Here's yet another long one. When I was still a tweener, an older gentleman told me, the only thing a woman wants more than what she doesn't have is what another woman does. Everybody that heard him laughed, but I didn't get it. Too young, I guess. Now, over 50 years later, I recognize the unquestionable wisdom of that statement and I'm passing that wisdom on to you. You'll see why in just a bit. Amy's behavior is textbook female behavior. If you remember in my earlier comment, assuming you had a chance to read it, I stated how women need to feel superior to their partners in a relationship. In that comment, Amy's need to feel superior was the reasoning behind the 20 faults she listed concerning you and your relationship. Her need to feel superior is the reason she tells all her friends negative things about you, hoping they'll see you as a pos and conclude that she's so much better than you. Deep down she knows you're the better partner, but she inflates your faults, many of them aren't really faults, and demeans and disparages your good qualities in order to convince herself, and everyone she tells, that you're a terrible person and she's unquestionably the better, superior partner. Of course, while all that negative talk works with Raquel, Faye, Clarissa, and Joan, it doesn't fly with Mimi or Cissie, who both know you and, in Mimi's case, know what a terrible person Amy is to live with. Now, again I must reiterate that this behavior doesn't make Amy a bad person. This is just how most women think and operate in relationships. Why? Hell if I know. But it's true. So, why did she change her behavior? Why did this? Amy has been really quiet, really attentive, and actually doing things around the house without being told. More than being pretty good, she's been putting in far more effort than even when I first got back from up north. What happened? Well, I'll guarantee it's not because she knows she's been a bit of a brat, but she doesn't mean to seem like she doesn't appreciate me. She says she loves me and she's not sure how she needs to show it other than doing the things I've asked her to do. See, women don't ever tell you the truth about what they're thinking and feeling. They tell you what they want you to believe is the truth about their thoughts and feelings. Heck, it may even be what they want to believe is the truth. But it seldom ever is the truth. No, the reason why Amy changed her behavior is that bit of wisdom I opened this comment with. When Cissie chastened Amy for not appreciating you, Amy got the impression that Cissie was actually interested in you. And, knowing how she's behaved and treated you so poorly over the years, Amy's afraid you might consider leaving her for Cissie. Which, in her warped female brain, means Cissie might have your attention and thus have you. And, what does a woman, Amy, want more than what she doesn't have? Yep, what another woman, Clarissa, does. Think about it. That's probably why Amy asked you out of the blue. If we weren't together, would I date Cissie? It's 'cause she's trying to determine just how much of your attention and interest Cissie already has laid claim to. And, of course, you gave the wrong answer. Mind you, your answer was a truthful, honest answer. Honesty, one more of your many faults, that accurately reflected your feelings. But while not wanting to date a woman and raise another man's kids is a sincere reflection on how you feel about Cissie, what Amy, and all her friends and family, heard was hell. If she didn't have kids, they'd be on her like white on rice. The right answer would have been no. Because Cissie's not as gorgeous and wonderful and loving as you are, and she could never replace you. Now, that probably isn't the truthful answer, but that's the truth Amy wanted to hear from you, that you consider her so much better and more desirable than Cissie, 'cause, well, that's how women's brains are wired. Ever wonder why players seduce women with such obvious BS? It's because they feel no compulsion to be truthful or honest and are perfectly willing to lie and tell women exactly what they want to hear. And over again women fall for that crap even when they know it's not true. No, what your response did was light a fire under Amy. She's thinking that if she doesn't get her act together, Cissie, who's beautiful, probably smart, conscientious, and loving, will manage to overcome your aversion to her kids. You already like them and have fun with them, right? And steal you away from her. Hence the abrupt improvement in her behavior. Now, are her other reasonings for the change? Her realizing she's been a brat. Her understanding her prior actions and behavior would suggest she doesn't appreciate you. Her being embarrassed by her therapist over the list she presented and her lack of action to improve. Valid? Is she really ready to grow up and act like a mature, loving partner? Maybe. Hopefully. But, if it ever looks like she's slipping back into her old thinking and behaviors, just tell her that Cissie asked you, just you, to join her and her kids for all-day outing. That'll fan those embers and relight that fire up under her ass. Smile. I just want you to know that even though these tend to be long, I really do appreciate them in the insight that you've. Thanks for letting me know. Glad my comments are helpful. Or at least entertaining. Smile. As always, wishing the best for you and all you love. She finally got her come to Jesus moment. Have I mentioned that I love me? She said exactly what I've been saying this whole time. She gets treated like a child because she acts like one. How come she gets a free pass on her friends not knowing what she did? It's pretty easy to give shitty advice if they only ever hear one side. It's sad to hear that she not only bitched about you to your face but also to her friends behind her back. She really doesn't deserve you, dude. She had been me all throughout this horrible thing. I am glad someone finally called her out to actually think about how she treats you, how she talks about you, and what she will finally do for you. This is the update I was hoping for, and now that she sees what an absolute puss she has been to you, this better be her turning the corner to actually show you she wants you. I really hope this leads to better things, my man. Keep your chin up. You have some females that have no problem defending you or acknowledging that you deserve better. Oof. I've been following you for a while. You are a good dude. I completely understand your mindset. You want to be that guy that provides. I empathize completely. Unfortunately, Amy, while I think A has the capacity to be on board, she surrounds herself with a lot of bad influences, therapist included. Although in this case, as I believe in most cases, because one of my friends has a similar profession, she is likely not telling the complete truth to her therapist. We're driven by ego, and it takes a tremendously self-aware human to realize that they are not the hero in their own story. You are the hero/villain of your own story. I am not going to cast judgment or offer anything profound because no one will understand your situation better than you, but it seems Amy is just adrift, and I don't know what it will take to move forward for the both of you. Dude, after all this time Amy's still all about me, she hasn't really changed. Mean me right, Amy's still acting like a child after everything she did while still trying to act like the good person to her friends. Also, so she gets to sweep her actions with her friends? I hate to say it, but yeah, I still think you took her back too fast. There were still too many issues you guys needed to solve alone, and you just kept jumping from fire to fire without taking a break and having no pressure, calmly sitting down and thinking about your relationship and why not just you but her should stay together if you are having this many issues. The issues I have are frustrating. From my perspective, it was like playing a game that you enjoy, that you really love, but has issues. None of them are game breaking, but a lot of little ones that haven't really been addressed in updates. Until this thing with the cam, nothing was huge. A lot of little, petty stuff that just bothered the duck out of me. Inconsiderate things, I think. Like keeping my house in order, respecting the car, not telling our business to your friends and family when you want sympathy, which is a problem a lot of women have. True, but the cam thing would still worry me cause I know she can hide an issue for so long until it reaches a boiling point. The fact she's still kinda trying to do something similar by hiding her issues that night with her friends from you isn't encouraging. It's just too similar to how she responded to an issue that got you guys in this mess in the first place. I have 6 questions, and the first 2 are irrelevant except to provide context for 3 and 4. What did you have to do to get a relationship with Amy? What did Amy have to do to get a relationship with you? What did you have to do to keep a relationship with her? What did she have to do to keep a relationship with you? What do you have to do to stay in your relationship going forward? What does she have to do to stay in your relationship going forward? I understand that we don't see everything, but it seems like Amy wanted out, but didn't want to pull the trigger herself. She wanted you to get the credit for blowing everything up. She created a weird situation with her friends where some of them are her vent friends where she can complain freely, while the ones who actually know you check her on the BS. Like having the angel and devil on her shoulders. Damn. I know that women do this. They have some friends that only hear about you when they are pissed at you. So they have a very distorted view of the relationship and who you are and how you treat your partner. But this shit is concerning. She has a therapist telling her that you are the reason she feels bad about herself and asking her why she is still with you. Seriously? A professional therapist is asking her why she is still with you? She has half her friends saying you treat her like shit and she needs to leave. Yet they don't know about the cam shit? I know I'm only hearing one side and I read your list of faults, but when half your wife's friend group is bagging on your husband and your therapist is saying you need to reevaluate your marriage, that is serious shit. Honestly, I do think Amy can be very childish and take you for granted but then turn around and get mad because she feels you treat her like a child. Yeah, because she is acting like one. I'm sure you have your issues and you've talked about a lot of them. However, the fact that she can feel so bad about herself that she has to seek validation outside your marriage despite the fact that you regularly told her how you loved her and how beautiful she was is selfish and petty. You are obviously a smart, accomplished man, but instead of Amy letting that make her feel bad and less than, she should be proud of you. She should be proud you want to help those you love, including her. I know it's more complicated than that, but it seems like she feels overshadowed when she should be your biggest cheerleader. And you should be hers. That is what healthy couples do. I remember a couple I know telling me that they never badmouth the other to people outside the relationship. That isn't to say they don't have close friends and family they talk to about issues, but they are always constructive in their criticism. They always have each other's backs. I always thought that a lot of Amy's insecurities were due to her issues with her sister and her former weight issue and growing up with that. And maybe they do. But after hearing that 2 of her 4 friends could go off like that and even suggest that you are abusive is just hard to hear. I can't imagine what that must be like for you. Amy should have been the first one to come to your defense, especially when they start throwing around accusations of abuse. Instead, it's the woman that is mourning her husband and the woman that you both have known the longest and been the most intimate with. Oh, and who knows about the cheating stuff? Your reaction is the only one that matters, but the first thing I would do is talk with my IC to make sure that I'm not being some sort of covert abuser, even though I think it's bullshit. After that, I'd find some way to open this subject up with Amy and what she really wants going forward. Because, and I know you didn't really go into her response to the criticism of you, but if she still has doubts or believes this might be an abusive marriage, I would end things. I know that's very dramatic, but Jesus, you've tried to work through a lot when many guys would have just taken a knee. If Amy isn't happy for some reason and this whole camp thing was just a way out that she couldn't follow through with, then follow through for her. I'm not saying you can't do bad stuff in a marriage even if the other partner is unfaithful, but other than perhaps treating her like she's a bit childish, which she definitely can be, and a few other personality quirks, it seems like you are a good husband and partner. Plus you are honest and faithful. I realize that there are shades of grey to every situation, but if 2 of her 4 close friends are throwing around words like abuse and her therapist is asking why she has stayed, then it might be time to reevaluate. I'm afraid I don't have any real answers that don't involve lawyers, but it seems to me you deserve better than what you are currently getting. The fact that Amy asked you that question about Clarissa is a gigantic red flag that shows just how freaking insecure she is. Clarissa stood up for you because you are a loving, caring husband that loves their wife. And instead of letting that message sink in, her thoughts turned to, I wonder if hubby would ever go after Clarissa? I wish the both of you luck and hope that whatever happens with you two, that you both find some measure of happiness. It seems like that is eluding you both for the moment. I think the therapist asking why she is still with me wasn't trying to get her to leave me or anything. From what the conversations were about, the therapist was more like, if this is such a huge thing, why has it not been something to cause you to leave? It's hard to explain without going through what they talked about in Discord word for word, but from what I can tell it was more like the therapist calling her out. That makes sense. I just misinterpreted the meaning behind it. Basically the therapist was saying, if things are so awful like you say, then why are you still here? That makes a lot more sense, as therapists don't usually take a strong position on staying or leaving a marriage unless there is serious abuse taking place. As for her discussion with the 2 friends of hers that were bashing you and even suggesting the marriage was abusive, perhaps I misunderstood that as well. It sounds like Amy didn't really stick up for you and only Clarissa and Mimi defended you. I hope I misunderstood that as well. Your spouse should always have your back. I can see how Amy might feel like she is dumb in comparison to you. You're obviously intelligent, and if she has a slightly above average intellect, that might cause her to feel dumb. Especially because she seems to have obvious self-esteem issues. Still, that doesn't make it your fault, and I've noticed that you are always giving your wife compliments in your past posts. Sadly, if someone has self-esteem issues that started in their youth, no amount of compliments will ever be enough until they get help. That's why she needs the therapy she is getting, or she will likely repeat her behavior. Anyway, best of luck to you. It's been a roller coaster ride. At first I thought you two were done. Then after your time apart I thought you'd work things out. However, after you two returned home, it seems like neither of you are getting better. I'm sure it takes time. I admire your strength. Not only did you have the strength to try and save your marriage, but you had the strength not to be a pushover. After all this time you are still sleeping in a different room. That is strength. I know you've mentioned that she has wondered how much longer this will go on, but hopefully she understands that's a question that can only be answered by actions, not words. No, Amy stood up for me, that's the problem. I think she realized it was hard to defend me cause she'd painted such a bad picture. Cause her two friends legit thought like she was really in an abusive relationship and she couldn't talk them out of it. Which I think is what made her realize she's been really negative or focusing on really negative things. And Clarissa and Mimi had been calling her out on that. I see. Well, that's good news that she defended you, but bad news she had left a negative impression of your relationship with these friends. Perhaps she didn't realize she had even done that. Some women have friends that only hear the bad news and some that only hear the good. Either way, now that you both know about it, hopefully you'll be able to address it going forward. It is really good to see that Amy appreciates you. It is also good to see that she recognizes that she should be putting in the effort. Maybe this whole cheating thing was what your relationship needed to open both of y'all's eyes to each other, and what each other needs, and you will grow strong together from it. I had a similar situation with my husband. We forgot to appreciate what the other did. I kicked him out, and he had to go off and take care of all of the things that I used to do for him. He actually thanked me for it later, and told me that he never knew that he could do all of the things, like the budgeting that he resented me for, before he understood the need for the budgeting, etc., and that it gave him so much more confidence in himself. He had just given notice at his apartment that he was moving back home last January before he died suddenly from an aneurysm. I'm glad you two had a chance to figure things out before it was too late. I wish you many good years to appreciate each other. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.